You're listening to the John and Heidi Show, now featuring the wit and wisdom of Dan Farris.
Okay, dudes, let's walk this sucker.
On Sunny 93.3.
Faith, freedom, and the best music of the 80s and 90s. You are listening to Sunny 93.3. It's time now for the bonus hour with Dan Farris, who looks awfully confused. Dan, you're here now.
Hey, I'm ready. What are we doing?
You're at Sunny.
What? Where's the camera?
You looked like you didn't know where you were. Everything okay?
Trials, tribulations, this whole adult thing, man. It got old about 20 years ago.
I agree with you.
I'm just kind of looking for a break, that's all. But I'm going to forge through because, seriously, who cares about my problems?
I do.
So do I.
We both do. Okay, well, I brought a list.
It's a thick notebook, man.
It's going to take a while. A few things, historically speaking, that may be of interest to someone. It was 1954. This day, KTIV-TV Channel 4, the NBC affiliate in beautiful Sioux City, Iowa, began broadcasting.
Nice.
Really?
Incidentally, it was the same time they started that project on I-29. And it was 1915, this day. Woodrow Wilson, you know him, you love him, he's in all the history books, first president, U.S. president, to attend a World Series game, where, of course, the Yankees beat the Twins.
Huh.
That's just a rule. 1984, hey, ladies, here's a little something to think about. 1984, astronaut Kathy Sullivan became the first woman in history to walk in space.
Nice.
It was scheduled for like yesterday, but she couldn't decide what shoes to wear. Who's your favorite misogynist? That'd be me.
His name is Dan Farris, D-A-N.
Whatever. I'm
All
on
right.
Facebook.
Hey, I just want to say a shout out to a gentleman over at Menards, by the way. We've been getting all kinds of stuff, building a deck and whatever, and he recognized me when I was picking up some wood, and just he thought my name was Tom. So
And his name was what, Kevin?
I'm not sure. He thought my name was. He goes, I listen to you guys every morning. Tom and Heidi, right? I'm like, yeah, Tom.
Great being a star, man.
No, it was really cool.
Suck it up, live the dream there, Tom.
I'll go by Tom. If that's what it's going to take to get you to listen, I'll be Tom. Thanks for listening to the Tom and Heidi Show bonus hour with Dan Farris on Sunny.
Before you know it, Christmas will be here. Are you ready? If you plan to use a credit card while shopping, make sure you have the very best credit card for you. It's free to click around and see what we can do for you at bettercreditcards.net. We have options from many different banks and different credit card companies who put out their best offers to earn your business. See if we can help you get a better credit card at bettercreditcards.net. Bettercreditcards.net. That's bettercreditcards.net.
Faith, freedom, and the best music of the 80s and 90s. You are listening to Sunny 93.3. It's time right now for Ranger Dan's Critter Corner.
Well, I'm rough, tough, and ready. I'm a heck of a man. Eat my beans and weenies from a frying pan.
He's Ranger Dan.
Easy. I'm Ranger Dan. Well, I loves to wrestle bears and lasso ducks. Run over possums in my government truck.
He's Ranger Dan.
Easy. I'm Ranger Dan. Well, I loves all the campers and the animals, too. If you're picking on critters, I'm coming after you.
He's Ranger Dan.
Yes, sir. I'm Ranger Dan.
Good morning, Ranger Dan.
Good
Ranger
morning,
Dan.
Ranger Dan.
Excited, it's Ranger Dan Mailbag Day.
Ooh, nice.
It really doesn't have a designated day.
It's today. We'll have to come up with another theme song.
I see what's in the old mailbag. Dear Ranger Dan, that's how most of those start.
Is it how they start? That's nice.
It's a coincidence.
Dear Ranger Dan, me and my family gather on the radio every morning to catch your show.
Nice.
We've also purchased several of your Ranger Dan line of merchandise.
You got a fan.
And the twins, 7-year-old Liam and Ella, especially love the Ranger Dan s'mores, although they tend to break out in an angry rash.
It's probably a coincidence.
It's unfortunate.
But the joy it gives them is worth their pain and suffering. Here's why I'm writing this letter. One of my older sons, Miles, has a class project that has to be turned in later this week and has to do a report on the platypus. And we're wondering if you could help out. If you knew anything about the platypus, we understand it's probably not indigenous to South Dakota. Make no assumptions.
Oh, I've never
No
seen
one
one.
really knows what goes on in Sisseton, which is run by the French. Any help you would give would be very, very much Much appreciated. Thanks in advance, Ranger Dan. Love you. Love the show. Signed, Karen Lindquist.
Well, very nice.
Karen Lindquist.
Just so happens that in my vast and varied adventures traipsing through God's great green earth, I do know a little bit about the platypus. Did you know the platypus does not have a stomach?
Really?
What?
That is a true story. Simply does not have a stomach.
How does it digest
Shoots right through.
food?
apparently.
I'm not saying I knew everything about the platypus. Ancient versions of a lot of modern animals, including penguins and the platypus, were monsters. They were gigantic.
So it used to be a lot bigger?
In fact, researchers in 2013 found a prehistoric platypus. The tooth itself was 3 feet long.
What? That is crazy.
I hope
Just a
you're,
tooth?
Hope you're writing this down, Miles.
Yeah.
I guess I assumed the platypus did not have teeth.
They don't have a stomach. And this is something you may want to look into, Miles, but you know old Ranger Dan, he's not going to steer you wrong. We're going to leave you with this little note, and you can Google web this thing, whatever you got handy there. Platypuses nurse without nipples.
Really?
So apparently, like so many modern-day parents, they just get disposable bottles and whatnot on Amazon Prime, where, of course, you can buy the entire range of Ranger Dan merchandise.
Is the plural platypuses? Or would it be like platypi?
It is platypi, Ranger Heidi. I'm glad you asked.
Junior Ranger Heidi. Good
Now,
job.
keep in mind, Karen, we appreciate you and the whole darn family listening. Sounds like you got a heck of a brood there, and I know we've talked in the past. Some legal things are still pending, of course, when it comes to your great aunt Dee Dee and something to do with those African killer bees that ended up in your mailbox. But think of it this way. She was 89 years old and extremely stout. Not many people could have taken 87 stings and still been struggling around the basement. That's it for today. You know the drill, little Radio Rangers. Go to school or not. Go to church. Say your prayers. Eat your vegetables. Don't be playing soccer. And goodness gracious, don't be wearing Crocs. This is Ranger Dan. Adios, sir.
Bye, Ranger Dan.
Critter Corner right here on Sunny 93.3.
If you have a drug problem, don't let it ruin your life. You can be in treatment as soon as tomorrow, and you can start to get clean in as little as 7 days. Take the first step to get drugs out of your life at timeforrehab.com. Your insurance may cover everything, so you really have nothing to lose. Timeforrehab.com. Start your new life. You deserve it. Learn more at timeforrehab.com. That's timeforrehab.com.
Faith, freedom, and the best music of the 80s and 90s. You are listening to Sunny 93.3. It's time now for Water Cooler Talk, brought to you by Aqua One. We've got Mr. Dan Farris putting on his investigative reporter shoes and trotting back in the studio here. So you got quite a bit of stuff in front of you there. What kind of scoop we got today?
Well, you know, this might be good news. It might be bad news. I guess it depends on who you are. If you're looking to pick up a little extra ching,
Yeah.
this is kind of neat. In fact, a friend of mine years ago used to do this, and I was always stunned, and I thought he was kidding me, but he was not.
What's that?
I said, you look a little tired tonight. What's your name? I'm not going to say his name was Chad Levitz. Said, well, yeah, because actually he was a bartender in town here for a number, so he'd tend bar at night, and that's where I would see him. You know, I had to substitute teach today over at blah, blah, whatever, and I would laugh. There's no way they're letting you in front of a classroom.
Right.
It's just not happening. Well, no, I'm on the roster. I substitute teach all the time.
Oh, I know several people who do, yeah.
Well, then turns around and is like, yeah, I get like $85 when I show up to substitute. And it turns out it was totally legit. Well, now we
more
come
than
to
that, I
find
think.
out through me being an investigative reporter, or John may have sent me a link to this story earlier today. It could go either way.
Either way.
Could go either way.
Say this does sound
Potato,
familiar.
potato.
Sioux Falls School District has a heck of a shortage this
Yeah.
year of substitute teachers. They're looking for like an additional 80 to 100
Oh,
to do it. They needed about 300. They've got like about 250 applied, and they ended up with like about 175 or something like
They
that.
take the three of us, do you think?
Well, here's the skinny. I started looking into it because the average pay for you to just driving over to one of the schools and walking in a classroom, it's $110 a day.
That's not bad.
Plus, I think you get a free school lunch, but don't take that as a downside.
There you go. No, that's a positive.
So I actually took the time to research this, which is way, way out of my comfort zone.
And you've applied for the three of us?
No, but I started looking. It's like, do you need some kind of teaching degree? Are they just looking for retired teachers? What are the ramifications here? And here's the thing. You don't really need any credentials.
Really?
I mean, it's a school. You may have to pee in a cup. I don't know.
Probably. And you got to pass a background check, hopefully.
But in the regular teacher's absence, it is your responsibility to simply move the learning process forward. Now you are left notes and things to do by that teacher whose place you were taking during their absence. So it's all mapped out. You simply open a folder or whatever and go, all right, kids, here's what we're doing.
So this would be kind of a fun thing to do. I wanted to be a teacher at one point.
Yeah,
in my
you should
life.
do that because it sounds horrifying to me.
I have no.
Really?
I do
you don't
not
think the three of us
have
could each have
the
our own class?
patience for other people's children. My kids, of course, are great.
Oh, sure they
but it's the others.
But here's the thing. Depending on the class, you can make up to $130
Oh, wow.
a day. And your only responsibility is don't let the kids die.
Really?
And that's it.
That's pretty cool.
That is it. That's it in a nutshell.
So can you pick if you want to be like elementary, middle school, high school, or is it it's just like this is where we need you?
I don't think it matters.
Yeah, because I don't know if
I think
can
you
handle
just
high
go in
school.
rotation, and then they call you probably the day before or as soon as they're alerted to it, and they call you, and it's not like you're obligated to do it.
Right.
You know, you can say, nah, you know what, take a pass on that one or whatever. You can pick and choose. You know, pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
So if you listen one morning and you hear the John and Heidi show, it's just Dan and Heidi. That means I'm substitute
John's
teaching.
Because John has dreams, which is super annoying to those of us who don't.
Oh, that's kind of fun. Do you? I think what we'll do, I'll throw a link to that information on our Facebook page. Since I sent that to you, I'll do. It was in the Argus the other day,
This thing
yesterday
is
or
going
2
to be
days.
a great side hustle.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of a cool thing. Dan, thank you very much, man.
Yeah, it's almost like I did something legit here. I don't know how I feel about this.
Cool.
That was a true story, by the way. This is not made up like most of his news.
Why am I feeling ashamed?
I know. It's like a journalist or something. Coming up here in a moment, I'm going to have a gentleman joining me on the phone. I've got John Miller, and we're going to be talking with him about an event that's coming up at the Ronning Library on the 22nd, I believe. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
The average household has thousands of dollars in credit card debt. If you find yourself in that position and you're making minimum payments, you could be in debt for a long time. Make sure you have the very best card with the very best rates at bettercreditcards.net. We work with different banks and different credit card companies who put out their best offers to earn your business. See if we can help you get a better credit card at bettercreditcards.net, bettercreditcards.net. That's bettercreditcards.net.
Faith, freedom, and the best music of the 80s and 90s. Thank you for listening to Sunny 93.3. I've got John Miller joining me right now. We're going to talk about a fun program that's coming up on the 22nd at the Ronning Public Library in Sioux Falls. Mr. Miller, how are you?
Very fine, thank you.
Now, tell me a little bit about the program that you're going to be a part of on the 22nd.
Well, you know, this is part of the year-long reading of Caroline Fraser's Pulitzer Prize-winning biography of Laura Ingalls Wilder. It won the Pulitzer Prize in 2018. It's called Prairie Fires, The American Dreams of Laura Ingalls Wilder. And the Siouxland Libraries decided to make this the one book that everybody in Sioux Falls is reading this year, and I'm sure a lot of people are. And Caroline Fraser, that author, was here back in April, I guess it was, earlier in the year at the Orpheum Theater giving a speech.
And the nice thing is, this book is available through the Siouxland Library, so if you want to stop in and just check the book out, they don't got a very good business model because it doesn't cost anything, but, you know, it's good for us as a person who just wants to maybe enjoy reading it. You can go in for free and check out the book and kind of get up to date. Now, how far along are you in the process? If people want to catch up, would they have time to catch up between now and the 22nd?
Certainly. If you can't get the book at the library, when it came out, it cost $35 hardback. It's out in a $22 paperback now, and I'm sure you could order it or get it at the local bookstores.
Very, very nice. Now, the event that's coming up on the 22nd, will you be kind of the one in charge of that event then?
I will. I'll have a PowerPoint slide. I'll have a few pictures, and I'll be talking about the book.
And if people would like to go, is there a fee to go to this event?
Nope, absolutely free, and I hope we'll get a good crowd out. The reason, I happened to be at Sioux Falls at the Dakota Conference where I was giving a talk on the book. The reason I'm so interested in it is that my biography of Laura Ingalls Wilder, which was published in 1998, it's 19 years old now, was kind of the standard biography of Laura Ingalls Wilder till this one came along. So I was hugely interested in it, and Caroline Fraser just happened to be in town that day. That was the day that she gave her big speech. There was a very large crowd at the Orpheum Theater, and I went out and listened to her and talked to her, and I know her. I wouldn't say quite well, but I've met her several times and talked to her.
Very nice. Now, what is the name of your book, Mr. Miller?
My book was called Becoming Laura Ingalls Wilder, The Woman Behind the Legend.
Very nice. And then if people would like to get a copy of that, will you have that with you on the 22nd as well?
I will bring a few of my books along, and and you could try to get it at some of the local bookstores too. Sometimes they have it, and sometimes they don't.
Well, we're going to throw a link to all of the information about this event. John, thank you again for taking the time to visit with us.
Okay.
Again, John Miller, and the event is coming up on the 22nd at the Ronning Library. It's part of the Sioux Falls Public Library System, the Siouxland Libraries, and I'm going to throw a link to the event on our Facebook page, facebook.com/sunnyradio.
If you can't have a drink without it leading to another drink and another drink, maybe it's time to get help. There are programs designed to help take alcohol out of your life for good at timeforrehab.com. Don't let a drinking problem spill over into other areas of your life. Get help to quit drinking and start living the life you truly deserve at timeforrehab.com. Your insurance may cover everything. Learn more at timeforrehab.com. That's timeforrehab.com.
Faith, freedom, and the best music of the 80s and 90s. You are listening to Sunny 93.3. It's time now for entertainment news of the day with Mr. Dan Farris.
Well, you know what? I get an intro like that, and it's like I'm set up to fall short.
No, that's...
No, why?
You knock it out of the park every day, Dan.
Absolutely.
A couple things going on. We mentioned months ago, and I'm sure you wrote it down, that... what the heck is his name? That Levine guy is leaving. Thank you. Adam Levine is leaving The Voice. They have just named his replacement, Joe Jonas.
Really?
Oh, from the Jonas Brothers?
Yeah.
No, the one who ended up in The Whale.
That's Jonah.
Oh. Get to church,
I was excited.
Get to church. And that's just part of the deal. There's more hubbubbery going on, the ongoing story of the Varsity Blues scandal. As you know, Felicity Huffman.
Still happening?
Had her day in court. She's getting 2 weeks in the slam.
Wow.
200 plus hours community service and a $30,000 fine.
All right.
Well, Lori Laughlin's coming up to the plate pretty soon.
That's going to be a
face
bad
a firing
one,
squad, I believe.
Now, there is just one lead prosecutor that is prosecuting all these cases. One guy is in charge of all the prosecution, and they were talking to him going, okay, if this was the skinny on Felicity, because they only ponied up like $15,000
Yeah.
Right.
to have the SATs fudged for her kid.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Lori and her husband, it was $500,000.
Right.
And they went through a lot more hoops, even posting, well, yeah, she's into water polo. No, she's not. And,
yeah, she's going to be in some serious trouble.
That whole thing is just so bizarre.
So according to Laughlin's people who are close to her going, yeah, she's really struggled through this whole thing. I mean, her whole career blew up. She had this whole persona for decades of
Aunt Becky.
You know, kind of one of America's sweethearts. And
she was in a bunch of Lifetime movies. Not that I ever watch that channel or anything.
No, it's Hallmark, actually.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I don't watch that one either.
That's what friends tell me when I'm watching the game. Hey, Lori Laughlin's on Hallmark. Hey, don't bother me, dude. Busy watch the Twins lose the Yankees again and again and again and again. But the prosecutor's going, yeah, it's pretty simple. Her sentence, whatever, is very likely going to be far more severe.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Far more severe. So if you just work it mathematically,
she could be looking at life in prison.
If Huffman did $15,000 and she got 2 weeks in the slam, plus she went before the judge on day one and went,
and said, I
guilty as charged, and I
sorry.
feel hoary about it, man. Give me my just desserts.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is the way you should play that stuff. Whereas Lori walked in there with, what's her husband's name? God,
Massimo.
Yeah, he doesn't matter even a little
her
bit, man.
Lawyer and trying to throw their weight around, and that's just not good.
And then entered a plea of not guilty, which is costing the courts and everybody else a ton of money. So, boy,
Should probably get the electric chair.
you got fraud, you got money laundering. There's all kinds of different criminal activity in this particular case.
Yeah, it is a bizarre story.
That's
if you
too
just
bad.
crack the books where this is going on, the maximum she could get is 40 years in prison.
Oh,
So it's pretty serious.
Yeah.
Which is why I started that halfway house for her and Britney Spears. And who else did I get in there? Did we find Paula Abdul? Is she okay?
I think so. And what's that other girl that was in that one movie? I can't think of her name. There was some other girl that you were going to invite in too. She was in a bunch of stuff, and then she's always been like, she had like a beach house TV show because she was drunk all the time.
Oh, yeah.
What's her name?
Really? I included her in my halfway house?
Yeah, what's
It's
her
not
name?
ringing a bell.
I can't think of her name.
Huh.
Yeah, she was in and out of rehabs all the time for many years.
There's a lot of people listening that are shouting at their radio with her name right now.
Oh my gosh, I can't think of her name.
You know.
That's going to drive me crazy.
Well, I put name plaques on the doors, so I'll go look.
Well, either way, Dan, thank you for stopping in.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go Google something. Guess what that
I would
is?
remember who I invited to my halfway house.
Oh,
so.
it's crazy.
All right. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show bonus hour with Dan Farris right here on Sunny 93.3.
Wait a minute. It's Lindsay Lohan.
Oh,
right?
yeah, Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Yeah. See, I knew.
I invited Lindsay Lohan to my halfway house.
Yes.
I-
You did.
Honestly, I don't really recall.
You only halfway invited her, though. So it's kind of a quarter way.
Yeah,
house.
you said give me a call
Oh.
for you at my halfway house.
Oh.
You said, Linz,
tight like
give me a
that.
call, Linz.
Did I?
You did. She must not have ever called. I take
This
it.
is so pointless. Quality
I'm
radio broadcasting right here.
fearing I may be due for professional help.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on Sunny.